thank you for joining me for part 2 of my Mediterranean cruise vlog series. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, be sure to go and check it out. And don't forget to like this video, leave a comment and subscribe. It really means so much to me when you engage with my content. So day 7 was a sea day and I was up reasonably early as we had arranged to take part in a ship tour. This was an extra charge and I'll tell you how much it was in a minute, and you can let me know in the comments if you think it was worth the cost or not. There was about, I would say, 15 people in the group, and we met at one of the bars before being taken along the crew corridor. First up was the loading area where all the food is brought onto the ship, and next we visited the engine control room and met some engineers. We couldn't enter the engine room itself, but we saw it through a camera. And they explained how the engines are monitored and how they can take control of the ship if necessary, though they said they couldn't see anything, so it would be a challenge. We went to the laundry room where the manager was incredibly proud of his work and his team, and the setup was very impressive. We then saw how the ropes are pulled when docking. I expected this area to be a bit more battered due to the exposure to the rough seas, but it was clean and very well maintained. We then went to the theatre where the sound and lighting technicians explained their roles, and an actor showed us behind the scenes and the costume storage. We finished the tour at another bar where we were given drinks and canapes. The hospitality manager spoke about his role in overseeing the cabins and the guests. I was curious about the medical centre, so I asked about it. They arranged for someone to call me and set up a private visit a few days later. I found it absolutely fascinating. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to film or take photos throughout the whole of the tour. We were scheduled to go to the bridge in the morning, but the fog delayed us until the afternoon. When we visited a bit later, the captain explained how they navigate using their various instruments, and we also had a chance to have a photo with the captain. So the cost breakdown: the tour cost £75 per person. The photo with the captain was an extra, which was £25 on a USB. We were also given another USB with ship photos since we couldn't take our own photos on the tour. The rest of day 7 was a fairly relaxed one, reading, Sudoku, the usual on a sea day. Day 8 was in Marseille in France. This was our only non-Spanish stop. The port was a bit far from town, so again we took the bus in. We arrived near the dock and explored the waterfront area, and then we walked into the main town where we stopped for a coffee. I had mine with milk this time. If you saw part 1, you'll know what I'm talking about. We bought tickets for a bus tour which took us around the city with a commentary playing in our ears. We didn't complete the full tour as we got off near a stop where we could then catch our bus back to the ship. The highlights were the Notre Dame de la Garde, I hope I'm saying that right, a church on a hill with a golden statue of Mary that overlooks the city, and the Cathedral La Major, one of the largest cathedrals in France. Back on the ship, we watched the sail away, and that evening I was especially pleased because there was a more casual dining area, the Quays, which finally reopened its roast dinner section, and I had a roast dinner served in a giant Yorkshire pudding. We ended the night watching the acrobatics show with live music. So day 9 was a stop in Barcelona. We took another bus tour, but in hindsight we should have chosen the other route, as there were 2 routes that we could potentially take. This route included a long drive to the football stadium and back, which wasn't something that either of us were particularly interested in. At the start, we spotted a nice park, so we stayed on the bus until we returned to the park. We got off and walked back through the park and headed back to the ship. day 10 was a stop in Alicante, Spain, which was probably my favourite port of the whole trip. Started the day on the beach, and we planned to take the train up the mountain, but the queue was about an hour long, so instead we walked part of the way up. It was quite steep and it was very hot that day, so we didn't go the whole way up the mountain. We found another outdoor gym along the way and we stopped at an Irish bar for a drink. And then we walked along these tree-lined streets and came across a craft market, which was fun to browse around, although we didn't buy anything. After exploring, we headed back to the ship, watched the sail away, and later enjoyed a beautiful sunset.
So here we are watching the sunset. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there we have it.
That's where I'll leave it for this video. Stay tuned for part 3. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment and subscribe. It really helps, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.